Hi, everybody. So we're continuing our discussion of exponent rules. So I'm doing another full example with you guys from the homework A24. And again, if you feel like you're not great at this, I encourage you to go to YouTube and look up more exponent rule problems, or of course, come see me in the afternoon sessions and we can go over some more examples. So I'm going to do A24 and do all of them with you. Let's do A. So for A, I'm going to write it bigger, 6x squared y cubed. On the bottom, we have 3x and y. Okay, so first I'm going to deal with the numbers. 6 divided by 3, bigger number stays on top. Regular number, 6 divided by 3 is 2. Okay, there are more x's on top than on the bottom. This has a little 1 next to it. I subtract 2 minus 1 is 1. So x to the 1 stays on top. I don't need to write the 1 there. You can, but I usually don't. Okay, there are more y's on top. There's 3 of them. We subtract 3 minus 1 is 2. Y to the 2. So I've dealt with all of them. Nothing is left on the bottom, so I don't really need this fraction bar. It doesn't make sense to leave it. So this is my final answer. 2xy squared. A lot of students say doesn't matter which order you write these in. Technically, no, but usually we do alphabetical order. And remember, these are all separate things being multiplied. So is someone wrong if they wrote it like this? No, it just kind of looks weird. Okay, and don't forget in Algebra 1, we spent a long time like writing it out like this, 2 x's and 1 on the bottom and they cross out. That's essentially the same thing. This is just the quicker way to do it. Okay, let's look at B next. So for B, I'm going to write it out negative mn cubed. Now, it's a little confusing with the negative. The negative doesn't belong to the m. It's really saying negative 1 times m times n. Now, I'm going to distribute this cubed into all 3 parts. So I'm going to do negative 1 cubed, m to the 1 cubed, n to the 1 cubed. So I distributed the 3 into all 3 parts, and I added a little 1 here so that we could realize we're going to multiply these two. Negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 is still negative 1. These two numbers get multiplied. 3 times 1 is 3. These two numbers get multiplied. 3 times 1 is 3. Could you rewrite this just negative m cubed, n cubed? Yes, but it's important to realize why that negative 1 is still there. Okay, let's move on to C and D. So for C, looks very similar, mn to the negative 3. But a huge difference, the negative is in the exponent. Here, the negative was not in the exponent. When the negative is in the exponent, I can expect things to move. Now, you can either move them to the bottom right away, cross a line, change the sign, or you can distribute first. I'm going to go ahead and distribute this to both things that are in the inside. So m to the negative 3 and n to the negative 3. Now, we never leave negatives in the exponents. They cross the line and change the sign. This gets to move to the bottom because it has a negative 3. It crosses the line, changes the sign. This has a negative 3. It also crosses the line, changes the sign. There's nothing left on top, which means we need to write a 1. We can't just have a random fraction bar. And that's my answer. Okay, let's look at D. For the first time, we don't have any variables that we're dealing with. Here's how I like to deal with these problems. There's a bunch of different ways you can do this, and maybe you've been taught a different way in science. I like to just make this a regular number. Now, I remember that negative exponents, when I'm not talking about variables, I'm going to go ahead and move this over. So this will move over 2 spots. So if I take 3.2 and move the decimal 1, 2, it creates an empty spot right here. So that's 0.03, and that should be a number 2. I'm going to redo this real quick so that I don't confuse you. Okay, so 3.2 Since this is negative, I'm going to move this 1 space and 2 space. So my decimal point ends up right there. 0.032. So that's the top number. Now let's think about 8 times 3. 8 times 10 to the 3 means this decimal moves 1, 2, 3. So it'll become 8,000, which makes sense. 8 times 10 to the 3 is 8,000. Okay, now for me, I would grab a calculator and do this. Do you have to use a calculator to do this problem? No. Is this the only way to do this problem? No. I just think this is the easiest way. So now, what does my answer look like? In my calculator, I got 0 and a lot of zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros, and a 4. Makes sense. 32 divided by 8 is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so how am I going to write this as my final answer? I'm going to move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots. So 4 times 10 to the negative 6. Now, how do I know it's negative? Because if it was positive, it'd be 4 with 6 zeros after, and that's not what I'm saying. It's 6 zeros before. So let's make sure we did this right. So if I move it from here, 1, and then 5 more zeros would be in front of it. So this is my final answer. If you feel like you learned a different way and would rather use that, that's also fine. Okay, so you can shut this down now and do the rest of the problems.